Hello and welcome to Saurash's classes. Today we'll talk about the reading section in the IELTS exam. Now the first thing that people ask us about this section is whether to take the computer-based test or to take the pen and paper test. And there are pros and cons of both. Now, when you're taking a computer-based test, you will typically have the entire passage coming up on your screen with the questions on the side, and the screen is large enough so that you can see the entire passage here along with the questions. Whereas in the pen and paper test, typically you will have the passage followed by the questions. So first difference is you have to keep going back and forth if you're attempting the test through pen and paper. Whereas in case of computer, you can see the questions on the side as you scroll along. And bear in mind that the questions in most cases are in the same order as the flow of the passage. So the first question will relate to something being told in the first para and so on. So this becomes much easier when you are going in for a computer-based exam. The second point, if you're going for the computer-based exam, you don't have to mark or you don't have to transfer your answers. You can directly click your answers on the computer screen. Whereas in the pen and paper test, you have to first note the answers or choose the answers in the question paper and then transfer them to the answer sheet. So definitely computer based exam is easier because you don't have to bother about transferring the answers. You don't have to bother about scrolling up and down or searching for the answers. You can directly relate the answers, which becomes very easy when you're looking at the questions or the passage and the questions at the same time. However, there is one disadvantage of the computer-based exam, which is in case of pen and paper, you can mark the keywords, you can underline the keywords as you are reading the passage so that it becomes very easy for you to find the answers when you read the questions just by looking at the keywords that you have marked. But in case of computer-based exam, you have to note down the keywords. Note down the keywords in the notepad that you will be provided. So in case of computer-based exam, the disadvantage is you have to note the keywords separately. So it is up to you how you want to approach this. If you feel that it's easier for you to use the pen and paper choice and it's easier for you to note down or mark the keywords and relate the questions back to the keywords, it's easier to go in for the pen and paper. But if you find that it's easier for you to relate the questions with the passage itself as you read along, then it is obviously advisable to go for the computer-based exam. Now, next we come to the strategy of how we read the passage. How to read the passage. Now, different people have different theories around this. Some say that you read the entire passage first and then go for the questions. Some say you have a look at the questions and then start reading the passage, and so on and so forth. So our advice is, first you understand what is there in the passage. So in any passage, the first para gives the context or the background of the passage, which means what the passage is going to talk about. So it sets the context. The second para, or I would say second, third, fourth, and up to the second last para, all these will give you arguments, facts, figures in favor or against the topic. And then the last para will give you a final conclusion, or it might leave it open for further discussion. Open for discussion. If it is a debatable topic and the author is presenting arguments and facts both for and against the topic, and then he leaves it for further discussion. So this also can happen. So the best strategy is to read the entire first para. Read the entire first para and then read the first and last sentences of the rest of the paragraphs and read the entire last paragraph. And this should not take you more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. And while you are doing this, note down the keywords. And these keywords would be only nouns and verbs. There's nothing else that needs to be noted down. So once you have done this, then go for the questions and use this set of keywords to directly answer the questions. You'll find that 95% of the questions can be answered directly using the keywords themselves. So this is a very, very successful strategy that has been deployed by many students in multiple competitive exams, including IELTS, to successfully crack the reading comprehension section. The second tip is how to find the correct answer. Now, this is very, very easy, and all you have to do is use your common sense. What does that mean? Well, in the passage, you will always encounter some words that you are not familiar with. You don't know the meaning of those words. And yet, you encounter a question based on one of those words or some of those words. Let's take an example. The movie was an eclectic mix of contemporary ideas. Contemporary ideas. And the question is, the word which is closest in meaning to eclectic is. And you're given 4 choices. Choice 1 is open, B is closed, C is myopic, and D is narrow. Now, you are again in a difficult spot here because you don't know the meaning of the word myopic. This is also not known to you. So you have to depend on the other three words to find the correct answer. Now these are simple words and I'm sure you know the meaning of all these words. So you see that out of these three words, closed and narrow means restrictive or confined, or something which is not open, which is not broad. And open is exactly opposite in meaning. So out of the three, two are exactly not exactly but closely related and mean almost the same thing or are related in some way, and the other one is completely opposite and the choice is only one. So your common sense will tell you that this has to be the choice because the other two cannot be the choice because they are very close related. So here you have to depend on whatever you know to go for the correct answer. And yes, open or broad is the correct meaning of eclectic. So you see that just by elimination you can arrive at the correct answer even when you don't know the meaning of one of the words or one of the choices. So the art to finding the correct answer is to eliminate wrong choices using common sense. And you'll see more often than not you'll be able to do this using common sense. The third tip is to manage time. This is very crucial. Now suppose you have encountered a question and there are four choices and you have eliminated option 1 and B, but you're not sure about the other two choices. It can be C or D. You're not very sure. What I would suggest is you can use the technique that I showed you. If you know the meaning of the four options or at least three of them, you can use your common sense to see if you can find the most probable correct answer. If you don't, if that technique is not working, then mark this question for review and move on. Do not waste time to keep going back to the passage and searching for answers. This is a very, very wrong strategy. Just move on, answer the rest of the questions and later come back when you have time to answer this question. So this is a very effective way to manage time and answer the maximum number of questions, because you will have to answer or rather get 34 correct out of 40 questions in order to have a score of 8+, right? So you just have to ensure that you are able to attempt as many questions as you can. The final tip, or the fourth and final tip, is make sure you revise your answers. Ensure that you did not make any spelling mistakes, grammatical errors, or you did not choose any answer which has spelling or grammatical errors, and make sure that you did not choose any answer by mistake. Sometimes it happens. In a rush to complete the paper, we might have four options, we have eliminated two, and we know the choices between C and D, and in your mind you know that you want to mark C, but by mistake you mark D. So when you're revising, this would catch your attention and you will be able to correct it. So it's very important to have at least 5 to 7 minutes to revise your answers. So these are the 4 basic simple tips for you to score 8+ in IELTS reading section. I hope this video helped you to understand the basics and you'll be able to definitely take the reading test of IELTS with confidence and score at least 34, which means an 8+ in that section. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section and we'll clear your doubts there.